That's the direction God wants him to go, but instead, he sails all the way around the cape there, all the way to the city of Tarshish. Now the Lord had arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights.
Jonah could have died in the water, but by God's grace, a big fish comes and swallows Jonah.
God actually wants to engage with Jonah. He wants to engage with him in his rebellion, in his anger, in his distress, in his confusion. God caused the fish to vomit Jonah out on the beach, and then he's forced to hike 600 miles-ish up to Nineveh, doing what God asked him to do in the first place. And can you imagine him preaching the gospel or the message of God's love to that city? It says the people of Nineveh believed God's message. And it says from the greatest down to the least. And when God saw all that they had done and how they had put a stop to their evil ways, he changed his mind and did not carry out the destruction that he had threatened.
So after the miracle of Nineveh, Jonah finds himself conversing with God. God is trying to tell him what he needs to hear, but he won't listen. So God decides to teach him another way. Overnight, he causes a huge plant to rise up and give Jonah shade, which Jonah is incredibly thankful for, because in the Middle East, often the difference between direct sunlight and shade can mean the difference between life and death. And then again, overnight, God decides to destroy the plant with an insect that began to eat away at the root of the plant. So Jonah wakes up to this withered plant and he starts to scream and is so angry at God. And then God says to him essentially, Jonah, what you need to understand is that you are more upset about this plant than you are about all the people of Nineveh. You have compassion for this plant, but you should have a lot more compassion for all of these people. And so the chapter ends, and we're just left to assume that finally Jonah understands what God has been trying to tell him all along.